With his team of 10 designers, he works on shop concepts, color cards, design concepts, and for Akzo Nobel's wide range of paint brands. Today he will tell us what color can do for architecture and what architecture can do for color. Please welcome Per Nimer.
Thank you very much. Is it supposed to? Here we go. Those of you who cannot read that, don't worry about it. It's really just a lot of dots and really pretty picture. It's a beautiful t-shirt. And of course, if you're colorblind, you can't see it, so it doesn't really matter. If you can read it, it's not about you, so you're totally safe. You buy this online and on a website called T-shirts from Hell. You order it and you wait for 2 weeks, and next you come home one day from work and here's the receipt. So for a design manager at the world's largest paint producer, I think that's a perfect t-shirt. As you were told, I'm an architect. I had about 10 years of experience before I started with Akzo Nobel, which is now 15 years. And Akzo Nobel is the world's largest paint producer, 128 countries of paint, which goes on the house, in the house. Then it's paint for everything else, laptops and cell phones. And so the job is really, really interesting. You have a geographical spread. You get to go to different countries and look at why do we choose different colors in different countries, how closely connected to culture is color, and then you go through all the product segments and work with really anything that has color on it. So the human eye can distinguish around 10 million colors. And so it's really it's a never-ending story to work with. And then you have, of course, not the color only, but how the color changes because of where you put it. I have 3 kids. My youngest, she's a girl. She's 9. When she was asked at school, when she was about 5, they would ask her, "So what does your father do?" "He's a painter." Yeah. So now she's 9. She does trick questions with me. So she came about 2 weeks ago. She's born on February 15. So it's the day after, what's it called? Sorry? Valentine's Day. How could I forget that? Valentine's Day. So she knows all about Valentine's Day because you missed it with 6 hours. So she asked me, "So, Daddy, you know, when we drive in the car, it's a red light, you know, that's danger. And on Valentine's Day, the heart is red. How do you explain that red can be 2 different things?" And of course, how do you do that to a 9-year-old? You know, try to explain how color will change, that her red on her bike makes it a girl's bike. On a house, it means tradition, and in the bedroom, it's love or warmth. So, what is color? I think this is really, I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it, I don't know, thousands of times. Still totally flabbergasted that I have problems doing it. You know, green, red, blue. It's really the best proof that logic and color, or logic and emotions, is not on the same side of the brain. So it's a little bit, you know, abstract color. Can you hold it in your hand? Can you taste it? Can you smell it? No. What can you do with color? Nothing really. You can see it. It's purely a visual thing. It's like music. What can you do with music? Nothing. You can listen to it. You can play the instrument. You can play the record. But it's really about audio. So it's abstract, but at the same time, it's extremely basic. It's how we orientate ourselves in the world. How we get to buy the correct or the best banana or tomato. It's how we find our way through nature and the city, signage and what have you. Color is everywhere. I think this is pure genius. This is the Barajas terminal, Rogers, in Madrid. Can you sense the ease of direction giving here? So here's this old couple looking for gate 53, and they're not colorblind, and you say, it's in the orange area. Now, everybody can find their way. It's all the spectrum of color going from blue in one end to red in the other. So color, abstract, yes, also very basic and extremely helpful. And we have houses of color. We use color everywhere. Where do we get inspiration from? We have paint. Now, the last layer that goes on everything is the color. It will change an object tremendously when you use a color. You can have a house that is a really prime example, modern architecture or whatever, and destroy it totally with the wrong use of color. You can have a room which is quite ordinary, and you use the right color or the right colors, and it will be a really great looking room. And you can have fun with it. These are some concrete containers I found out in Czechoslovakia. Another use of color. And you can create illusions with it. There is no light shining on this wall. There's white paint in the middle. There's black paint at the edges. And 8 shades of gray in between. And you create an illusion of light with the use of paint and color. Front design did the same thing with these tables. These tables are 8 millimeter thick. And the sense that they have a body and a volume, and you see the light reflections at the edges, is all done with color. Totally flat, sharp edges, 8 millimeters, and you have a sense of volume and reflection through the use of color. But access to color, where is that? Well, I think we all have access to color through nature. Nature is access to color. And how many colors do we have here? Millions and millions of green in the trees. We have the craziest color combinations. We are inspired by them. When I work, you meet a lot of colorists and designers, and you ask them, what are you inspired by? And lots of people say that they are inspired by nature. I don't get that. Nature is crazy color. It's purples and yellows and blues and just a big mess. There's no organization. And, well, there is, of course, but not in the sense we use it, the word organization. And in the sea, in the ocean, you have little amoebas or fishes and everything else. Plenty of color to be inspired by. Yes, a piece of rock. How many colors is there in a rock? You know that when I'm talking about color variations, if you ask people around the world to think of a place of contemplation. Think of a place where you want to sit and think. 96% will say, I want to sit in the forest or by the water. Almost nobody will say, I want to sit in a little white box. So, obviously there is inspiration to sit where the wind is blowing and the colors are changing, or the reflection of the water is never ending. Continuous color change and color variation. And that is something that the human eye really, really appreciates. And so that's nature. Then you have not so natural color inspiration. And it's in fashion, it's in makeup, it is more or less crazy, but it is there. It is everywhere, and it is accessible for everybody who wants to just open their eyes and see it. And then, so you can be inspired, you can go home, you can do this if you want to. If you talk about access to color versus economy, well, blue paint is the same price as red paint, or yellow paint, or beige paint for that matter. So there is no reason economically not to do this, or this, or this. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that we have this to this, all the colors everywhere as inspiration, and it's not expensive. We can have fun with it, you can play with it, it can mean something, you can use it, you can make it change things, and we do this. We go home and we are minimalistic in our color approach. So thank God there's a morning light and an afternoon light. So at least we'll get some change. So minimalistic, well, I'll tell you, we heard about the favela in Caracas. This is from Caracas. Tell you that there is very little minimalism in the slum. There is color and an abundance of decoration and things happening. It's crazy and it's really, really nice. Ethical architecture is one of the big things happening, I think. It's very colorful. Of course it is. Paint is very cheap. With the use of color, you will change the look of that building in a very easy way. So, these guys, they have a colorful house. I don't think they believe in the T's less is more. I think less is probably hungry. This is Bangladesh, ethical architecture, not very colorful except for the textiles, but they are colorful. This is a fisherman's village in Lebanon. And as well, extremely colorful, which is gives it a very distinct flavor and a very distinct look. Other color trends that we are looking at is color, of course, becoming much in a very small scale. But you see more and more color. And these examples, I'm sure you've seen them all, of course. The Agora Theater, outside, inside, the hotel. So more colorful architecture. This is in Valencia, Ito architect, Ito Toyo. And so colorful architecture coming more and more, and the pixelated architecture, or pixelated, I mean colored in a pixelated way. Started with Laura Hutton in Berlin, what is that, 7, 8 years ago? And today there are numerous examples. This is the rooftop of the marketing place in Barcelona, City Hall in Montreal, fire station in Italy. So we have all these pixels. What happened 2 or 3 years ago was that we got light with it. So this is from the aquatic cube in Beijing Olympics. So still pixels, but now light within shining out, because that's what's new. It's not light reflected upon, it's light shining out. And storefront in Tokyo, shopping mall in Shanghai, and of course the purple color you see at the left there is of course moving around the building continuously. So pixels, light, movement. This is WAM Architects in Taiwan, Taipei, looking like this during the day and at night. Soccer City last summer, looking like this during the day and at night. And what is really interesting is that all this pixels has come down to decoration. So we are allowing big scale architecture to be decorated, to look good in a decorative way, which is really a long time since we saw that happen. And pixels, of course. You can have pixels on the inside. This is a partition wall that you can buy. And you can have it white, you can have it black. You can spell a pattern or some letters on it. And if love doesn't do it for you, you can do sex. Or you can just be colorful. The wall is like, it's triangular pieces. One side is white, one is black, the third one is in color, and you spin them and you can play around with it. So pixel, playfulness, and decoration. This is Ingalls, that we saw some pictures of before. This is a suggestion for a new hotel by the Stockholm airport. So standing 200 or 300 meters from it, looks like this. Back off 500 meters, this is what you see. And when you come flying in when you're on your plane, because it's, of course, right by the airport, it's the face of the Royal Princess of Sweden. Yeah, exactly. It's like a perfect timing to say no comment. But it is an illusion, and just that they're allowing it is interesting. The building is three-sided, and the princess has a brother and a sister, so you can figure out what's going to happen on the other two sides. And as inspiration in nature, this is the latest on Chinese refrigerators. It's natural, it's inspired, but probably not a global trend. Last slide. If you don't know what to do with your trash, buy a flashlight and have some fun. Thank you. I have one more slide. Okay.
You are a boss or partially boss at one of the biggest paint company in the world.
Well, I'm not the boss.
Anyhow, you're important. You're a chief design.
Yeah.
We can see by your blue blazer that you must be important.
I knew this was the wrong
please come over
choice.
here, yeah.
I should take it off. Yeah,
We can swap.
hey.
You show in your talk not a lot of paint. And my question would be, are you satisfied with the quality of color that paint can make? And I don't want the business answer. I want a true answer.
It depends. If you look at the color that you can get in an industrial application, so that is what is applied to a laptop or a cell phone or a car, absolutely satisfied, yes. The paint that you can buy in a can, the difficulty is that it's an organic thing, right? It consists of water and blah blah blah. All these
It's
things.
in the end always organic. The pigments are always organic.
No, they're not organic because we can't use organic pigments. They would not survive. You make the paint, you put it in the can. It has to stay in the can for 6 months. Organic pigment wouldn't live that long, or it wouldn't stay stable that long.
So therefore, you use industrial pigments.
Yeah.
And therefore, all your paints are made of these industrial pigments. When we look towards an industrial color, would you? Because we often, and you said as well, nature is so inspirational because it's not an industrial pigment. Could we change that?
Probably not.
Could we change that?
No.
Anybody here thinks we can change that?
No.
Or is it AXO because you can't change it because it has to stay in the pot for a very long time?
It has to stay in the pot for a long time.
If
It's a fact of life.
And if it was not a fact of life, that it didn't have to...
Give it to me.
It was like fresh meat. Could you then change it?
I would, of course, your first question was, am I satisfied with the color? Well, for all these industrial purposes, absolutely. Do I want more color for people to paint in the house? Absolutely. Will they buy it? Probably not.
Because it's too expensive.
No, it's the same price. Color has no price on paint.
But pigment has price.
Yeah, but when you buy blue or white, there's a median, so everybody pays the same, whatever color you pick. Good answer,
Then
huh?
why, once again, why wouldn't they buy more organic pigments and thereby more colors who would refer more to real colors or natural colors? Why?
No. You misunderstood. What I would like to have is a pigment that could be a stronger pigment, that could be more used like an accent color. If you're talking material color that is reminding you of stone or bark or sand, whatever, or natural color, which is everything but the flowers, we can do that. Not a problem. The problem with a non-organic pigment is that it's not strong enough.
Okay, and now I'm going to be very biased. I'm sorry, and this might not really be a question, but if I go to a store with a lot of industrial paints like AXO Nobel, and I buy whatever I want to buy, and come home, I have the feeling I went to McDonald's and go to eat. What is wrong in this equation? That there is, in a way, there is no better than a fairly mediocre quality in color. Do you agree?
Where is the problem? Well, number one, I don't have the same experience you have. So the problem is probably you.
I told you. You're right. Somebody said, somebody tweeted, quoted you saying nature is a crazy color inspiration. What exactly did you mean?
That when we add color, I mean, there's basically 5 ways to add color to anything. It's through how it's constructed, through its function, color psychology, decoration, and now see, I'm stressed seeing you on stage. The 5th one is something, symbolism, okay? And what was the question? Twitter, you had it on the note. Color, nature. Okay, so when we put color on something, we do it in an organized way. We look at the building. Okay, so how it is constructed. I can add color to the pillars, blah, blah, blah. How is the function? Well, it's a door, it's a window. Balcony can add color. And so we organize our color world. Well, you look at nature, look at a bunch of flowers. in our sense, there is no organization. That's what I meant with chaos.
It's interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next.